What's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. This is the IT Tutoring for You channel, and I am your guru. My name is Kareem, and I am excited. Why am I excited, guys? Because today I get to show you guys how to set up some roles in your server. What's a server without roles? Definitely not a server. If you watched my last video, then you know that I showed you guys how to do a clean install from scratch without any roles. But in this video, I'm going to show you how to add some important roles. So if you haven't checked out the last video, I highly suggest you do so, just so that you have an understanding of where we're at right now, because all this is a continuation. And all we're going to do today is add 3 important roles which every network environment has, which is Active Directory, DHCP, and DNS. So without further ado, we're going to get straight into it because I know you guys don't really like that much talking. And when I say this is easy, you guys should know by now that it's going to be as easy as possible. All you have to do is follow along. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. Once you boot your server up, you should be looking at your server manager. If you aren't, you can look for it by searching. But once you're in, the first thing that you want to do is you want to click manage. Once you click manage, you're going to see add roles and features. You want to click that. Once you click that, the add roles and features wizard is going to pop up. This is the main page. You can read all of this if you want, but if you don't want to see it ever again in life, you can always just highlight that and click next. By default, it's going to select role-based or feature-based installation, which is exactly what we want. This is not important to us, so we're going to click next. By default, it's also going to have select the server pool from the server pool. That's going to be sandbox server 2, which is what we're using. If yours is not called that, then you should still see it in this box, but either way, highlight it, click next. So the roles that we're interested in today is, like I mentioned, Active Directory. This box is going to pop up. You want to click add features. The next thing that we want to add is DHCP, of course, which I also mentioned. Once that pops up, you want to click add features. DNS, add features. Once you have all 3 of those selected, you don't need to worry about any other thing. If you want to add some more roles to the server, by any means, this is your environment, so please feel free to do so. But for the sake of this video, all we're going to do is have these 3. So you want to click next after you have all 3 of those selected. Everything that we need is pretty much going to be here in the features menu. If you want to add some extra features, again, by all means, this is your environment. Do so, but for the sake of this video, this is all we need, so we're going to click next. After that, it's going to ask you if you want to set up some Azure directory. You know, it's going to give you some information on that, but we don't really need to do that right now, so we're going to click next. I don't think I clicked there. All right, so this is going to be the configuration part of the wizard for DHCP. We're going to click next, DNS, next, and this is the confirmation, of course. So basically what it's going to do is it's going to install all of these roles onto the server, but even after it gets done, there's still some additional setup that's going to be necessary. For this video, I'm only going to get into one particular setup, and it's going to be Active Directory. This is going to be a continuing series for all of the roles. I just want to keep it short and simple and sweet because I know we don't really like those long videos. So today we're going to just focus on Active Directory. But once you get to this screen in the wizard, it's basically a review of everything that you said you wanted to install. You can look through it and make sure everything is correct, which it should be. And then from there, you can click install. So this process is going to take some time because, of course, we're installing 3 roles to the server. But once this is completed, I will come back to you guys and we will configure the rest of our Active Directory setup because it still is going to need to be promoted to the domain. So I'll show you guys how to do all of that cool stuff once we get back. For now, I'm just going to pause the video and we'll pick back up in a few. See you guys. All right, guys, so we are back. If you made it this far, you should have Active Directory, DHCP, and DNS installed on your server. but that doesn't mean that we're complete yet. What we want to do after we have Active Directory, DHCP, and DNS installed is promote this server to a domain controller so that we get the full functionality out of using Active Directory, because that's what we're going to be specifically focusing on today, guys. So you want to open your server manager. Once your server manager is open, the next thing that we want to do is click the flag. The flag should have an exclamation point inside of a little triangle sign for you to let you know there's still some things that you need to do. What we're focused on right now is promoting this server to a domain controller. The wizard's going to open, it's going to load, and then from there what we need to do is type in the name of our forest. So you're going to click add new forest, and we're going to name this whatever we want. I'm going to name mine sandbox. You have to put a suffix at the end, so I'm going to use .com. You can use .com. You can even use .local. It's totally up to you. But once you have that in there, the next thing you want to do is click next. It's going to load, and once it gets to the next page, we will set up the next part. All right, so guys, we are now at the domain controller options, and what we will do here is put in a DSRM password. You probably won't ever need this, but in order to continue with the wizard, it is a requirement. So you can type in the same password that you use for your administrator account. That's what I do. If you want to do something different, by all means, this is your environment, so you can do so. But once you have that typed in, you want to click next. From here, we can select DNS options. We don't have anything that we want to do now. We don't want to create a DNS delegation at this moment. So once you get here, you want to click next. And then what's going to happen is the additional options, which includes verifying the net BIOS name. What it's going to do is pop one in there, as you can see, sandbox in all capital letters, which is perfectly fine. There's no need to change this. So once you get to this point, you can click next, and then from there we're going to work our way to the next menu. All right, now here at the next menu, you have to specify the location of the AD and DS database, log files, and sysvol folder. By default, everything is perfectly fine the way it is, so there's no need to adjust any of these unless you really want to, but the way that it is now is perfectly fine. So what you want to do is click next, and then what that is going to do is bring you to a review options screen. Everything should be exactly the way that you want it because we selected all of these configurations, and from here we want to click next. And then what it's going to do, guys, is it's going to run a prerequisite check just to make sure that everything is everything on your server, and there's nothing additional that needs to be done. It takes a bit of a time. However, once it gets done, you can click install, and then from there, like it says down bottom, after you click install, there's going to be a reboot that takes place. So as I mentioned, this may take a few minutes, so I'm going to pause the video, and then once it gets done after the reboot, we'll pick right back up where we left off, and I'll have a little bit more for you then. So we're all done, guys. It looks like the prerequisites are done. It hasn't rebooted yet, but I'm going to click install, and it's going to reboot after it gets done. But after it gets done with that, that's pretty much the end of setting up and promoting your Active Directory and promoting your server to a domain controller. So you'll have the full range of being able to use Active Directory, create new users, reset passwords, unlock users if need be in a real life environment, adding certain users to user groups, creating organizational units and member groups for permissions, uses, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of things that you can do with Active Directory, but this will conclude the installation of Active Directory's role and setting it up. The next video is going to be about setting up DHCP. So if you've liked what you've seen thus far, make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you are new and this is your first time setting up Active Directory. Drop a comment if you have questions, if there's anything that I forgot. Again, guys, like I said in the very first video of this series, feel free to ask me whatever and I will make sure that I get back to you. But for now, that is all I have. It's been real so long. Until next time, guys. See ya.